Welcome to another session of Brian Benton Media. Today I want to talk about the world of digital connectivity and infrastructures and why I see them as being problematic. Hence the title, Not Another Camera. Our Townsville Council on March 24th put this media release out on its website. It said, twice in just 2 months, Townsville has been recognised as a city that is kicking goals. After being named in February as one of the top 21 smart cities in the world for 2023, Townsville was also recently ranked amongst Australia's top 10 cities for livability by an organisation out of Perth. The release went on to say, the latest accolade for Townsville follows the naming of the city as one of the Smart 21 communities back in 2021 by the Intelligent Community Forum, ICF. Now, I suggest most of Townsville's residents have no idea what the Intelligent Community Forum 21 Smart Cities stands for. Let me explain. The ICF website states that the Intelligent Community Forum is a global network with a think tank at its centre. It connects hundreds of cities and regions on 5 continents for collaboration on economic development and for exchange of expertise and information that drives progress. Through this network, ICF researches how intelligent communities use information and communications technology to build inclusive prosperity, solve social problems, and enrich their quality of life in our connected century. Their mission statement reads in part, in a world dominated by digital, our mission is to help communities create innovative and growing economies, inclusive societies, and affirming cultures open to the world. The ICF believes that digital connectivity and technology play a key role in achieving those objectives. Now, that's a mouthful of information, and it sounds fairly benign and innocuous, but what does it really mean? Well, in Australia since 2004, there have been 13 cities recognised as smart cities under this ICF platform. How it works is that each year a city from anywhere in the world can nominate itself through an application process to be part of the Intelligent Community Forum. And then annually, 21 cities are chosen, and then by June each year, via a review process, 7 cities are shortlisted, and then in October, one of those 7 cities are chosen as the top global smart city for the year. Now, obviously, this becomes a highly competitive space, and the winner does receive considerable accolades internationally. Now, since the program started, Australia has had 7 cities reach this class of 7, as it were. It is not obvious how many councils in Australia are actually involved in the program. However, research indicates that the City of Adelaide and Prospect in South Australia, together with Queensland's Ipswich, Sunshine Coast and Townsville councils, are consistently achieving recognition as finalists. Now, this year, Geelong in Victoria is a newcomer, and together with the Sunshine Coast and Townsville have all been recognised as top 21 intelligent communities for 2023. Now, on the 19th of June, that's next week, they will learn whether they have been shortlisted to the class of 7. And each city, I'm sure, will be looking forward to those announcements. Now, most people in Townsville, I suggest, have no idea that this is happening or what it means. Interestingly, some people even within the council itself are unaware that how Townsville is involved in this program. So what are these ICF-affiliated councils signing up to? Well, whilst each council has different circumstances, they are all being evaluated on the basis of how they make use of digital connectivity and the related services that flow from that. ICF states that digital connectivity is the new essential utility, as vital to community growth as good roads, clean water and reliable electric power. They state, connected digital infrastructure, including sensors and cameras, make possible machine learning and the Internet of Things that deliver better services for less money to more people and organisations. Now, if you don't know, the Internet of Things is defined as the network of physical objects or things that are embedded with sensors, software and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data across services with other devices and systems over the internet. Note though what they are also saying. Normally, these infrastructure bills are driven by the private sector. They say that the private sector should provide affordable, reliable, high-quality service everywhere, but the economics of business can stand in the way. Where private investment fails, well, intelligent communities, that is, local council-driven affiliated ICFs, take action to meet the need. In other words, local councils are being asked, or in other words, local councils are being tasked with the job of driving an agenda of connected digital infrastructure. Now, in my view, I have 4 concerns of where this is all heading. My first concern is that increasing numbers of city councils throughout Australia, including Townsville, are aligning themselves with this global connectivity digital infrastructure. ICF is just one of many global organisations promoting the technology in Australia. It is why we're seeing cameras and digital technologies being installed throughout the nation. They are installed in intersections, highways, public facilities, parklands and thoroughfares. In Townsville alone, 537 camera installations have been completed up to December last year. We should note, though, according to a report published in February this year by the Conversation Media Group in Melbourne, that 2 Chinese companies are the major suppliers of surveillance camera systems in Australia. Both companies have authorised dealers to sell their products in Australia and respond to all public tenders. In 2021, independent researchers found that there were over 60,000 surveillance systems installed in Australia sourced from these 2 companies. But note this, the article also states Australian government officers have begun removing more than 1,000 of these Chinese-made surveillance camera intercoms, electronic entry systems and video recorders. A government audit found that the technology had been installed in more than 250 departments and agencies. Now, let me put this to you. If the Australian government has security concerns about these systems, then I think it behoves councils throughout Australia to declare openly and upfront what cameras have been installed by these companies, what are their capabilities, what is their real purpose, and what level of security is in place to protect the data harvested from these systems. Citizens, I believe, have a right to know the specifications of every camera installation in their city. Now, I don't know about you, but I have serious reservations about intent surrounding these installations. In Townsville, the stated primary reason for these installs is for the monitoring of infrastructure, and their secondary reason is for public safety. But why then is this a national rollout? If you haven't started to ask that question, then I encourage you to start inquiring. Many people suspect there are other agenda in play rather than simply being for infrastructure and public safety. Now, whilst ICF is not necessarily at the forefront of promoting individual camera technologies, they are at the forefront of promoting digital connectivity and making use of those installations to digitally link the community across a broad spectrum of purpose. Now, what concerns me is that those purposes are not always transparent by our councils. Now, a second concern I have is that a council's charter of purpose is progressively shifting over time from being local-centric to being global-centric as they align themselves more and more with state, federal and even international non-elected globalist entities. Now, this shift has really ramped up since the federal government in 2016 officially adopted the United Nations and the World Economic Forum 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which also includes, I might add, the 15 or 20-minute component of smart cities for local council precincts. More and more councils, in my view, are now becoming fronts for and a little more than workshops to drive state and federal globalist narratives. However, people in Australia are now starting to realise the implications of what this means for their lifestyle choices. Governments and local councils can now no longer hide behind community indifference, naivety, or ignorance. People are asking questions, challenging the narratives, and calling for bureaucratic accountability and transparency. They want their councils to be local-centric rather than global-centric. A third concern I have has to do with what I refer to as unresolved moral conflict. Now, on the one hand, we see great benefits in being able to access and use this new digital connectivity. It is good. But on the other hand, we are far from happy about what and where we see this all ending up. We struggle with the notion of being channeled or corralled into accepting technologies or outcomes that have the potential to either invade our privacy, intrude on our private spaces, or impact our personal choices, and even to the point of denying us certain privileges. Now, this, I suggest, is a serious moral dilemma, not only for us as individuals, but also for legislators themselves. And I often wonder if legislators are actually thinking about the implications of these installs that they too will be seriously impacted by. The capability of this technology is incredibly invasive, and when camera and sensor infrastructures can be used for surveillance purposes, facial recognition, and the monitoring of behaviour, and when the equipment is being installed all over the nation, then we have to ask, why is that happening? What bothers me? If there is other intent, why are those motives deliberately being concealed? This moral conflict needs to be addressed. The fourth concern I have is that we are fast losing what constitutes personhood and our intrinsic value as people in our social context. People, in the eyes of bureaucrats and legislators, are fast becoming little more than a commodity or an image on a camera or a digital number in the cloud to be manipulated, managed on behalf of puppeteers, wholly divorced, I suggest, from our local context. Somebody said to me the other day that it's far too easy for someone to sit in an office, either local, interstate or overseas, to then make decisions that impact the lives of others without having genuine regard for how a decision may affect the life of another person in a distant circumstance. Along with this, what bothers me increasingly with organisations like the ICF is that a local council in its application process is being benchmarked globally against an international data set and inevitably is obliged to acquiesce to a global view of reality, often divorced from local circumstance or its townspeople. Effectively, someone else far removed from our circumstance is determining what is best for us and our community and how we are expected to live. So the agenda of a service organisation like the ICF becomes by default the agenda of a local government, and I suggest that is problematic. But keep in mind though, there is an additional layer of engagement here. The ICF offers council a certification or accreditation relationship. They state, ICF offers the world's only certification program for intelligent communities. It identifies cities, councils and regions that are investment ready and prepared to prosper economically, socially and culturally amid the challenges and opportunities of the digital age. It provides, this is important, it provides objective third-party validation of the community's potential and progress based upon internationally recognised standards. Did you hear that? It begs the question, what or whose standards are deemed as normative benchmarks? Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not amenable to the idea of having a foreign entity from like the ICF from Canada, providing my local council with a certification that impacts my life without my consent. That a council would find that as an acceptable proposition, I find incredibly concerning, and I hope you do too. Now, you may be wondering why what I've talked about tonight is problematic. Now, let me come at it at another angle. Let me suggest when ICF, or any other organisation for that matter, begins to use language like sensors, cameras, the Internet of Things, sustainability, resilience, global data sets, benchmarking, artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicular travel, blockchain, or intelligent community index and certification options, then our antennae should be on high alert. If you add to this what is called the IOB, or the Internet of Bodies, then you should be starting to become really concerned. But we can talk about the Internet of Bodies at another occasion. The IOB is a whole new level of digital capability. Now, I trust this conversation has caused you to begin to ask some questions, perhaps consider what is happening around you in your community context. Now, we'll chat more on another occasion, but remember, it's not what you are being told, but what you are not being told that you should be concerned about. Sadly, motives within bureaucratic structures are not always transparent. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch up again at another time. Bye.